Good day, fellow deal makers. We got 7 minutes on the clock. I'm here with one of my best buddies. He's a fellow podcast host, Mr. Ewell. Welcome to the Deal Scout. Kick us off and talk to us about the guy or gal out there who's looking for the deal, wanting to get into franchises for their very first time, and they have no clue what they're diving into. Talk about that, Ewell.
Well, first of all, Josh, I appreciate you having me on your show. It's an honor to be on your show for sure.
Yeah.
The reality is 57% of all Americans would rather, this is per Gallup's research, 57% of all Americans would rather start a business than work for somebody else. And there's a number of reasons for that. And, we can go down a litany of reasons. But when they start looking at business options, franchising is one of the options. They've got three options. And one, they could go buy a business. They could start a business from scratch, or they could go explore franchising. It gets very confusing very fast because there's now over 4,000 franchises in the marketplace. So as a franchise consultant, which is what I do, I just came out with a book called Your First Franchise Roadmap. And I get asked all the questions I get asked, I address in the book to give some clarity, because it gets, like I said, they'll start going down a rabbit hole online, and the confusion becomes the issue rather than getting clarity. So I finally said, okay, I'm going to write a book about this. So I wanted to give people a clear path to follow. And that's what I do. But I address people who are really considering their first franchise. These are executives, career professionals, corporate refugees who did not have a choice but to leave. That was not their decision. And the last group I love working with. In fact, the first placement this year for me was with a veteran. And 1 out of 7 franchises in the United States is owned by a veteran. And there's a good reason for that, because of the systems and processes and the way the military training provides. And that's what makes franchising reachable for the general public, is the systems and processes makes that work. That's what is the horsepower behind franchising, because you can teach somebody who's an executive or a career professional or a veteran how to do the business. They've got the skills. Now we just bring those skills and transfer those skills into their own business.
Yeah. There's a playbook. The systems and process are already created. I built a ton of startups. And as a startup founder, you have to create those systems, the processes, how to acquire customer, how to keep that
100%.
customer, right? So if I opened up your book, which I really want a signed copy, you got to send me a
Yes.
signed copy. All right, cool. When I open your book, your first franchise, right?
Your
What
first franchise roadmap
your
we're
first
giving up the
franchise?
roadmap. Yes. Yep.
Beautiful. Good job, buddy. What question do you think most people who have a little bit of money, they know they want to get involved in something, they don't want to go get a W-2, they know they want, but they're looking at franchise. What's their number one question that you get?
They all think it's McDonald's. They literally that's where their mindset is, and it's and for good reason. They see a McDonald's just sort of out on every street corner, and a lot of them have never considered franchising for that reason, because they think it's going to have to be food, which it doesn't, and two, they look at a franchise like a McDonald's on the street corner in a prime location, and they know that's in millions of dollars. And the reality is that's not the reality either. Most of the franchises I work with range in around 85,000 to 285 to get in. And these are franchises that can lend themselves to multi-million dollar businesses over time. So the cost is a lot less than what people realize. And it's just misinformation or lack of information when they start exploring this. And then all of a sudden, that's why I want to be able to provide clarity. Clarity is my objective here, is to give that person, and then to give them a pathway to follow.
Give us some examples, because when I hear franchise, I'm thinking Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not educated in it. Give us some examples of other franchises that might not even be on my radar.
Okay, you think about, okay, so food clearly is present because we see it everywhere. But you think of home services, think about everything that touches your house, the roofing, the gutters, the shutters, the painting, anything to do with the house, the interior of the house, redesigning the house, redesign the bathroom, the kitchen, all those types of services. Senior care. Senior care is huge. At the beginning of this year, I was dealing with both of my parents in the early 80s. Both of them went in the hospital in the early 80s. I'm like, okay, this is getting real. That's getting real for the majority of people around the United States. They call it the silver tsunami.
Mhm.
So that's becoming a reality. Pets. Oh my gosh. The number one pet in the United States are dogs. 90 million plus dogs in the US. People will spend more money on their pets than they do themselves when it comes to healthcare.
Mhm.
So they want to take care of their dogs. Those are just some of the options. And the entry point to get into those is a lot less than most food options. When I do work with food, I have a background promoting this food for many, many years. And I'm very particular about the food brands I promote, because I look at the margins, and I go find the ones that have really good margins. And that the one I place that veteran in, outstanding margins. It's a coffee concept that has a twist to it. The first location did 1.6 million with a $400,000 net. So that opens up doors, that opens up minds, and that's how we generate the interest.
Ewell, man, you're awesome. I love working with you. You and I do a lot of content together. Two things, man. Tell people about your podcast where they could go check it out because you're
Yep.
great. And then close us out and tell people where to find your book.
Well, Your First Franchise is the podcast on the major players. The book is Your First Franchise Roadmap, and you can find it at yourfirstfranchise.com/roadmap. Yourfirstfranchise.com/roadmap. I'll give you a free copy. All your listeners will get a free copy. Should they want a paperback, they'll get it. You can get it on Amazon, and all the profits go to Make-A-Wish.
Awesome.
So
All
get
in
that
under
in.
7 minutes or less. Good job, Ewell. Fellow deal makers, as always, reach out to our guests. Say thanks for being on the show. Their contact information will be in the show notes below. So find a way to do a deal with our guests and say thank you for that. If you have a deal that you'd like to talk about here on this show, thedealscout.com. Fill out a quick form. Maybe get you on the show next. Till then, talk to you all on the next episode. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Josh.